Hello everybody. Today I will discuss the economics part of Standard 10, first chapter, Development, part 2. In my previous video, already I have discussed the part 1. In part 1, I have discussed the meaning of development, economic development, measurement of economic development, average income and its drawbacks, developmental goals, conflicting developmental goals, and national development. And in second part today, I will discuss World Bank report, United Nations Development Program report, comparison of World Bank report and UNDP report, Human Development Index, HDI, Body Mass Index, BMI, sustainable development, its strategies, and how to achieve sustainable development. First, you see, I will discuss World Bank report. World Bank consider only one criteria to classify the countries into three groups: developed or rich countries, second one developing or middle income countries, underdeveloped or poor income countries. So in this case, World Bank calculate the per capita income of the people per annum in terms of dollars. First one, developed or rich countries. In those countries, per capita income of the people per annum is $12,236 and above. These countries are called developed or rich countries. Second group, it is developing or middle income countries. In those countries, per capita income of the people per annum is more than $1,005 and less than $12,236 are called developing or middle income countries. Third group, underdeveloped countries or poor income countries. In those countries, per capita income of the people per annum is $1,005 or less than that are called underdeveloped or poor countries. According to the above data, per capita income of the people per annum of India is $2,139 and India belongs to developing or middle income countries. Clear? So in first group, rich or developed countries, per capita income of the people per annum is more than per capita income of the people per annum is $12,236 and more than that. Okay. Second group, it is developing or middle income countries. In those countries, per capita income of the people per annum is more than $1,005 and less than $12,236. Okay. These countries are called developing or middle income countries. And third group, underdeveloped countries or poor income countries. In those countries, per capita income of the people per annum is equal to $1,005 or less than that. According to the above data, per capita income of the people per annum of India is $2,139, and India belongs to developing or middle income countries. In World Bank report, only one criteria, per capita income or average income, is considered by the World Bank to classify the countries into three groups. Clear? Then in case of second report, United Nations Development Program report, it is called UNDP report. Here the countries are getting ranks on the basis of the following criteria. UNDP report consider three criteria. First one is educational status, second one health status, third one average income, per capita income of the people per annum. Here three criteria considered by UNDP, and this report, UNDP report, emphasized on human development. Always human development is related to three key dimensions. One is education, second one health, and third one average income or per capita income of the people per annum. So I will discuss the first criteria. It is educational status. In educational status, first one, literacy rate. How to define literacy rate? It means percentage of people, you consider age group 7 years and above, able to read, write and understand the state language of the total population of the same age group. Here you consider age group 7 years and above. Clear? Percentage of people, age group 7 years and above, able to read, write and understand the state language of the total population of the same age group. And in case of adult literacy rate, percentage of people, age group you consider 15 years and above, who can read and write with understanding a short simple statement about their everyday life. In case of adult literacy rate, you consider age group 15 years and above. So percentage of people, age group 15 years and above, who can read, write and understand the simple statement about their everyday life of the total population of the same age group. Age group is 15 years and above. So in 2011 census, literacy rate of India was 74.04%, and in 2011 census, Kerala has achieved a literacy rate of 93.91%. Okay, and Bihar is the least literacy rate of 63.82%. Recent literacy rate of India is 81.3%, but now Tripura already surpassed Kerala, because in 2011 highest literacy rate possessed by the Kerala, but now Tripura cross over Kerala, and now literacy rate of Tripura is 94.65% and beating Kerala. The literacy rate of Odisha as per 2011 census is 72.9%. So it is the first component of the educational status, it is literacy rate. Second one, we consider net attendance ratio. It is the percentage of children, age group you consider 6 to 12 years, attend the school to the total number of children of the same age group. Clear? Percentage of children, age group you consider 6 to 12 years, attend the school to the total children of the same age group. You age group 6 to 12 years. First you consider the total children. Total children age group 6 to 12 years. Out of this, how many children attend the school? Calculate the percentage. It is also called net attendance ratio. In case of ratio, it is the ratio of number of children attend the school, age group 6 to 12 years, to the total children of the same age group. Recent net attendance ratio at primary level is 86.1%. Here age group it is 6 to 12 years means it is primary level. Okay. Is the second component of educational status. Third one, gross enrollment ratio, GER. It determine the number of students enrolled in different grade levels, primary, secondary and higher education. So the data is defined as percentage of students enrolled in primary, percentage of students enrolled in secondary and percentage of students enrolled in higher education. Okay, it is the gross enrollment ratio. So you consider three components of educational status. One is the literacy rate, clear? Second one, net attendance ratio. Third one, gross enrollment ratio. In gross enrollment ratio, just you calculate percentage of student enrolled in primary level, secondary level and in higher education level. Then second criteria of UNDP report is health status. In health status, first component is infant mortality rate, IMR. It means the number of newborn child age group you consider less than 1 year dying per 1,000 children of the same age group. How many newborn child dying per 1,000 children of the same age group you consider less than 1 year. So how many children dying age group less than 1 year, okay, per 1,000 children of the same age group. Recent infant mortality rate or IMR of India is 30. It means 30 children age less than 1 year dying per 1,000 children of the same age group. In 2011 census, it was 47. Now, recently, it is reduced to 30. Then second one, life expectancy rate. It is the average expected lifespan of a person at the time of birth. It means how many years normally a person can survive in India. So, it is the average expected lifespan of a person at the time of birth. So alternatively, just you consider normally for how many years a person can survive in India. So current life expectancy rate of India is 69.73 years. In 2011 census, it was 67.13 years. Okay. So in health status, you consider two components, infant mortality rate and life expectancy rate. Third criteria of UNDP report is average income or per capita income. You know that how to calculate average income or per capita income? It is calculated by dividing the total income. Total income means national income of a country with its population. And in previous video already I had discussed national income is the money value of all final goods and services produced by the residents, whether they earn from the domestic territory or from abroad, but only you consider the contribution of the residents. So it is the national income is the money value of all final goods and services produced by the residents within country and from abroad during an accounting year. And residents also I told to you, those people residing in the country, so residents of India. In India, those people residing for more than 1 year and their economic interest like saving, spending and investing. Okay, saving, spending and accumulation or investment, okay, lies in India. Again, there's those people residing in the country for more than 1 year. So, particularly resident of India, those people residing in India for more than 1 year and their economic interest like spending, saving, and investment lies in India. They are the residents. Only their contributions considered. Then in this case also residents, not only individuals, residents also institutions, companies, okay, banks, okay, many Indian companies also their branches are there in different parts of the world. State Bank of India has branches in different parts of the country. Our insurance companies also, their branches are operating in different parts of the world. So their contribution is considered because they are the residents, okay, of our country. Clear? So three criteria are considered in case of UNDP report. One is the educational status. In educational status, you consider literacy rate, net attendance ratio, and gross enrollment ratio. Second one, health status, second parameter, the second criteria, health status. It is life expectancy rate and infant mortality rate. And third criteria is average income. On this basis, countries are getting ranks. Okay. So, Human Development Report is an annual report. It is an annual report published by the United Nations Development Program, which compare countries based on their educational status, health status, and per capita income. Okay. Simply, it is an annual report published by the United Nations Development Program, which compare countries on the basis of educational status, health status, and per capita income. Actually, this report was launched in the year 1990 by the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen. Okay, you know that Amartya Sen belongs to India, but now he is the resident of USA. Clear? He's a citizen of India, but residing in USA. He got Nobel Prize in Economics 1998. And the Pakistani economist Mahbub ul Haq. So this report was launched in the year 1990 by the Nobel laureate Amartya Sen and the Pakistani economist Mahbub ul Haq. So UNDP report used Human Development Index to measure how development has improved human life, and on this basis countries are getting ranks. UNDP report emphasized on Human Development Index. After this I will discuss Human Development Index. So Human Development Index, it is a statistical device. It is a statistical device is used to measure how development has improved human life. How development has improved human life, and human development related to the three dimensions, three key dimensions. One is education, second one health, and third one per capita income. So Human Development Index, it is a statistical device is used to measure how development has improved the human life, and on this basis, the countries are getting ranks in UNDP report. So UNDP report emphasized on human development by including of parameters of education, health, and per capita income. UNDP report has a broader framework to measure development by considering three dimensions of human development. Three dimensions of human development. One is access to knowledge. Okay, due to education, the human being acquire knowledge. The human being possesses skill power. The human being has ability to do work. The human being has potentiality to do work. So access to knowledge is related to the education. A decent standard of living and long and healthy life is related to the health. status. Okay, if workers are healthy one, if people are healthy one, then they can offer their 100% efficient service. Okay, they can use their 100% efficient service on their work if they are healthy one. Health is the most important factor related to the human development. So India ranks 129 out of 189 countries on the 2019 HDI of one slot from the 130th position in 2018 according to the Human Development Report. So 2018 India got 130th position, but in 2019 India got 29th position according to the Human Development Report released by the UNDP. So in this report, Norway got the first position, Switzerland second one, Ireland third position, Germany and Hong Kong both got the fourth position, and Australia secured fifth rank on the global ranking according to the 2019 Human Development Report. The same UNDP report is same as Human Development Report, because UNDP, United Nations Development Program, emphasized on human development, because United Nations Development Program or UNDP emphasize on education and health. Education and health both are the backbone of the human development. So educational status and health status considered by the UNDP to classify the countries on the basis of ranks, and another one is the per capita income of the people per annum. So comparison UNDP report with World Bank report. So very simple one. In UNDP report, three criteria are there: education, health, and per capita income. But in World Bank, only one criteria is there. It is per capita income. Second one, in UNDP report, countries are getting ranks on the basis of development. But in case of World Bank report, countries are classified into three groups: rich income countries, middle income countries, and poor income countries. Clear? Third one, World Bank report is a narrow concept, because it consider only the per capita income or average income, which does not tell everything about a nation. So simply World Bank report ignore human development. World Bank report has not emphasized on education and health. On the other hand, UNDP report takes education, health as the base of its report. Hence, UNDP report is a broad concept as it accounts for all the important concepts of human development. Next one, UNDP report emphasizes on human development, but World Bank report does not emphasize on it, because UNDP report consider educational status and health status, but World Bank report only consider average income or per capita income, and simply neglect educational status and health status of the country. UNDP report is more valuable than World Bank report because except average income, it considers other parameters, education and health, which are very useful for the development of the nation. But World Bank consider only one parameter, per capita income, which hide the disparities. Because in case of average income, average income does not emphasize on distribution of income, whether income equally distributed among the people or not. If you consider the average income, then few people's income is much more than the average income, and also so many people their income is much less than the average income. So average income simply hide disparities. Average income does not tell whether income is equally distributed among the people or not. Next one, Human Development Index, HDI. I told you already, it is a statistical device, is used to measure the three key dimensions of human development. It is a statistical device to measure the three key dimensions of human development. One is access to knowledge, it is related to education. Long and healthy life, it is related to health. And a decent standard of living, it is related to the income or average income of the people. Just simply, HDI is a statistical device to measure the magnitude of change in education, health, and average or per capita income. Magnitude of change means magnitude of improvement. Education, health, and per capita income or average income of the people. It is a simple definition. It is a statistical measure, is used to measure the three key dimensions. It is used to measure the three key dimensions of human development. Okay, one is education, health, and per capita income or average income of the people. Alternatively, it is used to measure how development has improved human life. Because education, health, better educated person, a better educated person has ability to do work, possess efficiency power, possess knowledge, okay, possess potentiality, already got advanced training to do the work properly, and also ability to earn more money. Similarly, healthy people, educated healthy people, always using 100% efficiency power on work. And third one is the average income or per capita income. Those people having better per capita income or average income, they maintain better standard of living. So simply it is used to measure how development has improved human life. Usefulness of HDI, you see, human development includes basic health, education, and income of a person. HDI study on three major sectors of a person. Three major sectors. One is education sector, health sector, and income sector. Income means it is, you consider the per capita income or average income. HDI is used to provide ranks to a country according to its growth. So according to the human development, okay, UNDP measure the human development of different countries, and according to this, UNDP the ranks. So HDI is used to provide ranks to country according to its growth. HDI also uses to study on standard of living of a person in a particular country. Standard of living of a person mainly depend upon the average income or per capita income. So it is the usefulness. Clear? Human development includes basic health, education, and income of a person. HDI study three major sectors like education, health, and income. Education sector, health sector, and income sector. It is used to provide ranks to a country according to its growth. Growth on the basis of human development. And human development related to the three key dimensions. Access to knowledge, it is education. And long life, it is related to health. And third one, maintain better standard of living, it is related to the per capita income or average income. Also, HDI also uses to study on standard of living of a person in a particular country. Next one, indicators of HDI, it is life expectancy, infant mortality rate. Both are related to the health parameter of UNDP. You know, already I have discussed. Per capita GDP. Per capita GDP, it is related to the average income or per capita income. How to calculate per capita GDP? It is total GDP divided by total population. GDP definition, it is the market value of all final goods and services produced within the domestic territory of the country during an accounting year. So total GDP divided by total population. It is per capita GDP. It is related to the average income or per capita income. Percentage of population below poverty line. Another one, maternal mortality rate. It is related to the also health parameter. It is the total number of dying mothers. Total number of dying mothers out of 1 lakh mothers while giving birth to babies. When the mothers giving birth to babies, then in this case, there is a death of some mothers. So how to calculate? The total number of mothers dying out of 1 lakh mothers while giving birth to babies. So in India, maternal mortality rate for 2017 was 145. It means 145 mothers are dying out of 1 lakh mothers while giving birth to babies. A 3.3% decline from 2016. In 2016, MMR, maternal mortality rate was 150. It means 150 mothers are dying out of 1 lakh mothers while giving birth to babies. Adult literacy rate already I have discussed. Clear? So these are the different indicators of HDI. So same you consider the educational status and health status. Life expectancy, infant mortality rate, okay, maternal mortality rate related to the health criteria. Per capita GDP, okay, adult literacy rate, it is related to the educational status. And then you consider also percentage of population below poverty line also. So on the basis of human development index, UNDP giving ranks to the countries. So mainly UNDP report emphasize on human development. Okay, human development related to the 3 key dimensions, and human development index is used to measure the 3 key dimensions of human development. Okay, it is a statistical device. HDI is a statistical device is used to measure the 3 key dimensions of human development. One is education, second one health, and third one average or per capita income. Alternatively, also HDI is used to measure development which has improved the human life. So these are the different indicators. Next one, sustainable development is very important one nowadays. Also, it is the part of economic development. Development is taking place in the economy without compromising the needs of the future generation. Okay, is sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs of the future generation. Okay, development is taking place in the present time. Clear? As usual manner, the present generation fulfill their needs, but they should not compromise with the needs of the future generation. So one small example you see. Now, in different parts of India, farmers using modern farming method. They are using more and more fertilizers, insecticides and pesticides to produce more crops. Every year by year, they use more fertilizers to increase the fertility power of the land. We know that due to massive use of fertilizers, land loses fertility power. Okay, land loses fertility power, and always each and every year land needs more fertilizer. Clear? more pollution is there because the industries are producing HIV seeds, insecticides, pesticides, and fertilizers. Air pollution is there. Okay, industries eject out squalid water, and these water mixing with the lake water, stream water, pond water, river water. Okay, and it is threatening for the people and animals. So many waterborne diseases spread out in the community. Groundwater level also depleted because in modern farming method the plants need more quantity of water. The plant need massive water, and always pump set connect with the tube wells and water is flowing. So our water table is reduced. In summer season, all the water resources dried up. So definitely it is threatening for the future generation. So development is taking place in the present. uh, Development is taking place, and the present generation must fulfill their needs but without compromising the needs of the future generation. How to achieve sustainable development? You see, first one, restrict use of renewable resources. It means always one thing we remember: extraction of renewable resources must be less than the regeneration. How much renewable resources regenerated, then we can extract resources, and it must be less than the regeneration. Second one, substitute non-renewable with renewable resources. It means renewable resources replace non-renewable one. Clear? So we should have used non-conventional sources of energy like tidal, wind, geothermal, okay, biomass, and we must restrict the consumption of coal, petrol, diesel, okay, because these are conventional sources of energy. So always use more renewable resources and restrict the use of non renewable resources. Next, control pollution and pollution emissions. And pollution emissions should be within the limit of absorption capacity. Pollution emissions must be within the absorption capacity of the environment. If it is within the absorption capacity of the environment, then pollution would not be generated. Pollution would not adversely affect the earth. So pollution emissions must be within the absorptive capacity of the environment. Control growth of population. Judicious use of natural resources according to the requirement. Judicious means according to our need, according to our requirement. We must use coal, petrol, diesel, and other natural resources according to our requirement. But we must use more non-conventional sources of energy like solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, tidal power. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of ecosystem. Ecosystem must be preserved. Okay, promote ecosystem, protect the ecosystem, thoroughly sustainably manage forest, combat desertification, halt land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Okay, now time is coming to stop land degradation. Also, it is our responsibility to check the biodiversity loss. Okay, to check the soil erosion. Each and every time we must try to protect our ecosystem. Okay, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts, because now climate change is there. Actually, in rainy season, total quantity of rainfall is less than the normal level, and many times, cyclonic storm is there near the coastal areas. Clear? So it is happened only due to climate change. Summer season in many areas of the country, temperature is around 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. So it is happened only due to climate change, and um, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Ensure sustainable consumption and production pattern. Sustainable consumption means use of products and services in a way that minimizes the impact on the environment. We must use products and services in that way. So, due to this, there is minimum impact on the environment. Okay, we must use products and services. Okay, in such a manner that it minimizes the impact on the environment. And similarly, production pattern. One example you see in agricultural sector, the farmers should have used organic farming method, genetic seeds, biocompost, biofertilizers should be used. Okay, so organic farming method must replace modern farming method, because now agricultural scientists they are saying organic crops are tasty one and contain more nutrition power. Land intact its fertility power. For the generation of the plants, more quantity of water is not required. Clear? And also it is not costly one, but training it means should be given to the farmers. They must know how to produce genetics, the seeds, biocompost, biofertilizers, and how to develop the crops through organic farming method. Now in modern farming method we are consuming chemical crops, and it adversely affects our health. And hybrid crops are not tasty one, it contain less nutrition power. Okay, but organic crops, are tasty one, contain more nutrition power. Okay, uh, the land actually does not lose fertility power. The development of plants also do not need more water. So many positive points are there. So it is the production pattern. So the production pattern must be changed so that minimum pollution occur in the economy, and it must be within the absorptive capacity of the environment. Strategies of sustainable development very common. Cleaner fuels like CNG fuels must be used instead of petrol and diesel. CNG vehicles must be plying on the roads instead of petrol and diesel vehicles. But similarly, also electrical vehicles must be plying on the roads. So due to this, automobile pollution must be reduced. Ban plastic materials. Use paper bags, cotton bags, jute bags instead of polythene bags. Production of power through hydel plants and nuclear power plants instead of thermal power plants. Many hydel projects must be developed. Okay, in some small check dams actually, uh, hydel plants must be installed by the government, and power must be generated. And similarly, nuclear power plants by using uranium and thorium like natural resources also, power must be produced. And due to this, air pollution must be reduced, because in case of thermal power plants, most important input is the coal, and now coal is exhaustible one. Okay, and thermal power plants must be shut down by the government. Only the government must emphasize on hydel plants and nuclear power plants. Prohibition of deforestation and encourage afforestation. Plantation of more trees. Planting more trees everywhere. Okay, around the houses, around the offices, around the hospitals, clear around the schools and colleges, roadsides. More and more plants must be implanted, and deforestation must be prohibited. artificial gases should be used in factories and industries. You know, in refrigerator and air conditioner industries in India, they are using chlorofluorocarbons, CFC, and halogens. So, due to this, actually, it is very dangerous for ozone gas. Clear? Ozone layer is there in stratosphere, and it directly affect the ozone gas. Due to this, actually, some holes are there in ozone layer. So, due to this, directly sun rays is coming, and due to this, temperature is more, and due to this also, sunstroke and also skin cancer uh, might be facing by the people. So artificial gases should be used. Organic crops should be developed through genetic seeds, biocompost, and using biopaste. Emphasis should be given on recycling of products. Recycling means conversion of waste materials to other new products. Okay, we should not have thrown out some old articles. We should have convert them into other new products. It is recycling. Conservation of plants and animals. Clear? Then differentiate between human development and economic development. You see, human development, it focuses on improvement in the overall well-being and quality of life of individuals. Okay, because human development related to the three key dimensions: education, health, and per capita income or average income. So simply it improve the quality of life of individuals, because educated people and healthy people, they are having ability to earn money, they are having ability to involve in multiple works, they are having knowledge, they are having skill power, they are having efficiency power, they are having potentiality to do work. Okay. Other side, you see, economic development, it is a continuous and sustained growth in an economy along with improvement standard of living of the people in the nation, because economic development mainly emphasized on national income and per capita income of the people. If the GDP of the country increases, okay, then definitely production of the country increases, then definitely more employment opportunities generated in the economy. So due to this, income level of the people increases. It means definitely per capita income of the people increases. Then our standard of living mainly depend upon our income. Okay, when we are having more income, then for adequate quantity of essential goods and services. So economic development, it is a continuous and sustaining growth in an economy along with improvement in standard of living of the people in the nation. Human development is indicated by Human Development Index. I told you, Human Development Index is used to measure how development has improved the human life. Also, it is used to measure the three key dimensions of human development. Okay, already I have discussed. So, economic development side, it can be indicated by national income and per capita income. When national income is more and per capita income of the people is more, when people maintain better standard of living, then at that time we must have detected that is economic development is there in the economy. Human development is a product, and economic development is a narrow concept, because economic development mainly depend upon human development. If human development is there, then definitely economic development is there, because due to human development, definitely production level increases. Okay, definitely people having ability to involve in multiple works, ability to earn money. Economic development mainly depend upon human development. With human development, economic development is not taking place in the economy. Clear? The next one, regions for the public facilities needed for the development of a country. Public facilities, those facilities provided by the government. Public facilities like education, health, law and order, potable drinking water facilities, transportation and sanitation, etc., fulfill the basic needs of the people. Okay, people need some basic facilities to maintain comfortable and qualitative life in the society. They need education, health, law and order, drinking water, transportation, sanitation, housing, power facilities, irrigation facilities. So to fulfill their minimum needs. it improves the quality of life of the people in the society. Definitely, when people are availing better educational facilities, health facilities, housing facilities, potable drinking water facilities, sanitation facilities, definitely they maintain qualitative life, and all these facilities actually provided by the government. So these are the public facilities. Public facilities like transportation, communication, power, irrigation, and marketing facilities, etc., stimulating production activities in the economy. You know, economic infrastructure is must for stimulating production activities, and economic infrastructure strengthened by the government. So, what type of facilities actually provided by the government? It's the public facilities. Okay, the government facilities is the public facilities. Clear? So public facilities like transportation, communication, power, irrigation, and marketing facilities, etc., stimulating production activities in the economy. Due to public health facilities and research, dreadful diseases like COVID-19. Now you know, whole world is suffering COVID-19. India also struggling. Already more than 5 lakh people in India already suffering in COVID-19. Also now also, it means so many people. More than 2 lakh active cases are there. Until now also, research is going on. Research is going on to detect the medicine, okay, for prevention. So till now also, it means in India, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, so many scientists, CSIR, Central Scientific and Industrial Research is going on continuously. They are trying to detect the medicine, and due to this actually we can prevent ourselves from this type of dreadful disease, swine flu, dengue. So research is going on. So these type of dreadful diseases can be prevented due to public health facilities and research. Public facilities like law and order, defense, and disaster rapid action force protect the people from bad consequences. You know that recent time, you know, in cyclonic storm and basically in flood time, disaster rapid action force, these people in flood time, they reprieve the people from the buildings, reprieve the people from the buildings which is submerged in water. Okay, they take away the people to the safer places, they evacuate the people to the safer places. And cyclonic storm time also, uh, after storm they clear the roads. Okay, law and order, defense to protect the country from external threat. Law and order, the government, you know, deployed so many police personnel, okay, to protect the life of the people. So similarly, all are public facilities. Public facilities like public distribution system, midday meal scheme, okay, and steps taken by the government to check malnutrition, etc., always uplift the weaker sections of the society. So this education system, midday meal scheme operating in primary schools, and also uh, government also check the malnutrition. For this, Anganwadis are there, regularly health checkup is there, also providing some healthy foods to the children so that they do not suffer in malnutrition, etc. So each and every time government is trying, government providing so many facilities to uplift the weaker sections of the society. Okay, these are the public facilities. Then body mass index, how to calculate? It is weight in kg. You consider your weight in kg. It must be divided by square of height. You consider your height in meter. So kg per meter square, it's measuring unit. Okay, it is weight in kg is divided by square of height. If BMI is less than 18.5, the person is suffering in malnutrition. If the BMI is within 18.5 to 25, then the person is healthy one. If BMI greater than 25, then person is suffering in obesity. Clear? Just you remember. Have you clearly understood or not? If you like my video, please subscribe me, and please do not forget to click on the subscribe red button. Thank you.